There's a cardiologist in Dallas who did something almost nobody in medicine is willing to do. He took a group of 50-year-olds who had not exercised in years. They weren't sick. They didn't have diabetes, no heart disease, just sedentary normal. The kind of 50-year-old who walks past a mirror and thinks, yeah, that's just about right for my age. And instead of studying them for 6 weeks like every other study, he trained them for 2 years. And he ran a catheter through their hearts and measured what happened. Their hearts didn't just get a little healthier, the structure changed, the stiffness reversed. And by the end, the heart of these 50-year-olds looked like the heart of 30-year-olds. Yeah, 20 years erased, not with a drug, not with a supplement, with a specific workout that most people are doing wrong or not doing at all. And here's the part that got me. It didn't take 2 hours a day. There is a version of this that fits into 10 minutes. I'm going to show you the study, the protocol, and the shortcut I found for people who are starting out at zero. So stay with me. My name is Ben Adi. I've spent 18 plus years in the metabolic health space. I'm a New York Times best-selling author, and my community has reported over 1 million pounds of fat loss. And I want to tell you what I got wrong for years. I thought cardio was the boring tax you had to pay so you could get to the fun stuff. I thought if I ate right and if I lifted, my heart would take care of itself. But your heart, Snorts, is not a passenger. It's an organ that adapts to demand. And if you never give it that demand, it does exactly what any unused tissue does. It shrinks. It stiffens. It gets old. Here's what nobody's telling you about heart aging. You picture a heart attack, cholesterol, maybe a blockage, some plaque breaking loose. That's the movie version. But there's a second kind of heart aging that gets almost no airtime, and it's the one that's quietly climbing. Your heart is a muscle with 4 chambers. The big one, the workhorse, is the left ventricle. That's the chamber that pumps oxygen-rich blood out to your entire body. Every organ, every muscle, even your brain. For that chamber to work, it has to do 2 things. It has to squeeze hard. And before it squeezes, it needs to relax a little bit and fill up. Everyone obsesses over the squeeze. Almost nobody talks about the fill. Here's the problem. As you sit, as you age, as you stay sedentary, that chamber does 2 things. It gets smaller and it gets stiffer. Think about a brand new rubber band. You pull it and it stretches easy. It snaps back. Now think about a rubber band that's been sitting in the drawer in your hot garage for 15 years. You pull it and it barely goes back and then it cracks. That's a sedentary left ventricle. When that chamber stiffens, it can't relax properly. It can't fill with blood. And when it can't fill, pressure backs up. In the worst version, that pressure backs up all the way to your lungs, and then you find yourself standing at the top of a flight of stairs, grasping like you just sprinted, wondering, when did I get so old? That condition has a name, heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. And here's the cruelty of it all. Your ejection fraction, the number your doctor checks, probably looks normal. The squeeze is fine. The fill, though, is broken. So you could be walking around with a stiffening heart and a clean report from your doctor. Now, why does the heart stiffen? This is where it gets personal for me because this is my world. The muscle of your heart is laced with collagen. Collagen is the scaffolding. It's what gives the chamber the ability to stretch and recoil. When you've got a lot of glucose floating around in your bloodstream from the refined carbohydrates, the sugar, the constant snacking and grazing, the glucose just doesn't just sit there politely. It's a reactive molecule. It bumps into proteins and it sticks to them because sugar is sticky. That reaction is called glycation. And when it happens over and over, you form what's called advanced glycation end products. Yes, the acronym is AGES, which is such an appropriate acronym because it ages you faster. I'm not joking. The molecules that actually age you are called AGES. These AGES cross-link with collagen in your heart. Picture your collagen fibers as a bunch of ropes that need to slide past each other so the chamber could expand. Glycation staples those ropes together. The chamber stops sliding. It stops stretching. It gets stiff. So high blood sugar is not just a blood sugar problem. It's a structural problem. You are slowly caramelizing your heart. And this is exactly why the workout I'm about to show you is so powerful, because muscle contraction is the single most effective effective way to pull glucose out of your bloodstream and into the tissue where it belongs. Hard contraction opens up a door for glucose that doesn't need insulin to unlock it. So, are you following what's happening here? The workout isn't just training your heart, it's cleaning up the things that ages your heart. Okay. The study, this was ran out of the Institute for Exercise and Environmental Medicine in Dallas, published in Circulation, which is the flagship journal for the American Heart Association. It's not a blog or a podcast claim. It was published in Circulation. Here's the design because I want you to appreciate how unusual this was. They took 61 healthy but sedentary middle-aged adults. Average age was 53, about half men, half women. They randomized them into two groups. Group 1, 2 years of structured exercise. Group 2, and this is the part I love, 2 years of stretching, yoga, balance, that kind of thing. That was the control because the researchers wanted to make sure the effect came from the intensity, not just from showing up somewhere and feeling good about yourself. So this was 2 years, not 8 weeks, 2 years. And they didn't just take a picture of the heart from the outside. They ran right heart catheterization with three-dimensional echocardiography, manipulating the pressure and the volume so they could basically build the pressure volume curve of that chamber and calculate a real stiffness number. This is invasive, the gold standard in cardiology, on healthy volunteers for a lifestyle study. And here's what they found after 2 years. The exercise group increased their maximal oxygen uptake. This is called V2 max, and it increased by 18%. And the left ventricle became more than 25% more compliant, more elastic, meaning it's now a stretchy new rubber band instead of a cracked one from the drawer. Now, what about the stretching group? Nothing. No change in fitness, no change in stiffness. 2 years of showing up and their hearts kept aging on schedule. I know that's bad news for those who are just doing yoga or stretching exercises. So, when the lead researchers describes what happens to those 50-year-old hearts, the comparison he lands on is a heart roughly 20 years younger. That's pretty wild with the average age in the study of being 53 years old. They were sedentary. 2 years later, a heart structure of somebody in their 30s. Now, there's a separate study out of the Cleveland Clinic published in JAMA Network Open. They tracked over 122,000 people who did a treadmill stress test and then followed who lived and who died over more than a decade. The people with the lowest fitness had dramatically higher death rates than people with elite fitness. And I mean dramatically. We're talking about a difference on order of 5 times. Being unfit carried a bigger risk than being a smoker, even bigger than having diabetes and bigger than having established coronary artery disease. It's pretty crazy. In that data set, low cardiorespiratory fitness was a bigger predictor of dying than smoking, and there was no ceiling. There was no point where the researchers said, okay, that's it, no more benefit. Even going from high fitness to elite fitness slowed down the mortality numbers. As one of the biggest investigators put it, it's like a dose with no toxicity limit at the end. Text that to somebody you know because your fitness level is a modifiable number. Your age isn't. Your genetics aren't. This one you can change starting this week. So, what was the actual workout? The engine of that protocol, the thing doing the heavy lifting, is an interval structure that came out of Norway. It's known as the 4x4. Here it is. So I'm going to make it stupidly simple for you, which is why most people dismiss it because it just sounds too simple on paper. You're going to warm up for 10 minutes, easy, get the blood moving, do some arm swings, some leg circles, walk around for 10 minutes, then 4 minutes of hard work, then 4 minutes of easy recovery. You repeat that 4 times and then you cool down. You're done. That's it. 4 rounds, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off. Now, let's talk about what hard actually means here, because this is where most people screw it all up. You're aiming for roughly 85 to 90% of your max heart rate during those 4 minutes. You could wear a heart rate strap to monitor this, or an Oura ring could monitor this, or you can use the talk test. During those 4 minutes, you should not be able to hold a conversation. If you can tell me about your weekend, you're not there. But if you can get in 3 or 4 rounds and need air, that's it. That's the zone. And this is critical, it's not all out. It's not a sprint, because nobody could sprint for 4 minutes. Maybe Usain Bolt, but that's about it. If you go all out for 1 minute, you're dying at minute 2 and coasting for minute 3. Then you've wasted the interval. The goal is to find the hardest place you can hold for the duration of those 4 minutes. Minute 4 should look and feel exactly like minute 1 did. Maybe it might feel worse, but it should look the same. Then we have the recovery. 4 minutes. Go genuinely easy. Walk or pedal slow. The goal is to let the heart rate come down. This is not an optional filler. By the way, the recovery is what lets you hit the next interval hard enough to matter. People who skimp on the recovery, they ruin the workout. Now, where do you do this workout? What do you do it on? How do you do it? Well, you could do it on a stationary bike, an air bike, a rower, something where you can push hard without your joints paying for it and without your legs failing before your heart does. Can you run? Yeah, you could do that. You could also do an incline treadmill. That works great too. You could also walk up a hill or wear a weighted vest, but the frequency does matter. In the study, participants worked up to roughly 5 to 6 hours of exercise a week, and 1 to 2 of those sessions were the 4x4 we just spoke about. The rest was moderate cardio and some strength work, which I know 5 to 6 hours a week with a 2-year commitment is a lot to ask for. So let's talk about the shortcut here. Here's what I found when I went digging, and it changed the way that I personally train. Researchers at the McMaster University in Canada asked the question that should have been asked 40 years ago. How little intense exercise can you get away with? They took sedentary men and they split them into 2 groups for 12 weeks, 3 sessions a week. Group 1 did the traditional thing, 45 minutes of a continuous moderate cycling, 50 total minutes in the gym if you include the warm-up and the cool-down. Group 2 did this, a 2-minute warm-up, then 3 all-out sprints of 20 seconds each with 2 minutes of easy pedaling in between them, then a 3-minute cool-down period. Now do the math on the hard work. 3 and 20 seconds, that's 1 minute of intense exercise. Total time in the gym, 10 minutes. 12 weeks later, they measured everyone. V2 max went up 19% in both groups. Insulin sensitivity measured with a real intravenous glucose tolerance test improved in both groups. Mitochondrial content inside the muscle measured by biopsy went up in both groups. One group spent 50 minutes, the other spent 10. 5 times less volume, but the same result. I want you to really feel the size of that. Every excuse you've ever made about not having enough time to work out just got dismantled by 3 20-bike sprints. Now that study was small, 27 guys and all out for 20 seconds is pretty brutal. It's harder in the moment than moderate cardio, just shorter. And the McMaster study measured fitness and metabolic health. Now, it did not run catheters into the heart for 2 years like the Dallas study did. So I'm not going to tell you this 10-minute routine gets you the same exact benefits as the 20-year heart remodel we discussed. That's not what the data says. But what I am telling you is this. The thing that drives the heart adaptation is intensity. And this shortcut proves that you don't need the extra volume to get that intensity. You just need to be willing to be uncomfortable for a very short window. That is the trade. Time for intensity. Pick one. Most people pick neither. And then they wonder why they're winded at the airport. Now let's talk about fat, because I know that's why a lot of you are on here. When you look at the head-to-head research on interval training versus steady-state cardio for fat loss matched over the same weeks, the gap is not enormous. Both actually work. Both reduce body fat mass. Both shrink waist circumference. Both could help with visceral fat and belly fat, which is the most inflammatory fat inside your body. But look at what actually happened in those studies. The interval group and the moderate group got the same result, but one group spent 10 minutes and the other spent 50 minutes. That's not a small difference. That's the whole ball game, because the number one reason most people fail at fat loss isn't necessarily biology. It's that they think they have to spend so much time exercising, which doesn't fit into people's busy lives. A plan that needs an hour of cardio 5 days a week usually dies the first week your kids get sick or your flight gets delayed. A 10-minute plan that survives. That is the shortcut. It's that intervals get you the same metabolic outcome in a fraction of the time, which means you'll still be doing it in 6 months. And the workout you're still doing after 6 months beats the perfect workout that you quit after 3 weeks. So now the question becomes, what do you do after the workout? Because this is where a lot of people accidentally undo everything that was accomplished. They finish an incredible workout. Their blood sugar is more stable. Their muscles are ready to soak up nutrients, and then they reward themselves with a muffin or a protein bar full of junk, or they skip protein altogether. That's the fastest way to make fat loss harder than it needs to be. One of the easiest things you can do after your intervals is to give your body the building blocks it actually needs. That's exactly why I use Equip Foods Prime Protein Powder. Not because it's a magical fat burner, not because it's replacing real food and animal-based whole foods, but because it helps hitting my protein target ridiculously easy. It just has 4 simple ingredients: grass-fed and grass-finished beef protein, isolate, cacao, a touch of a natural sweetener, and sea salt. That's it. No seed oils, no gums, no artificial sweeteners, no soy, no fillers, and no whey, which is great if dairy doesn't agree with you, like for most people. And here's why I care about protein so much. The workout is the signal. The protein is part of the repair. If you're trying to lose body fat, maintain muscle, and support your metabolism and actually recover well enough so you're ready for your next workout, adequate protein becomes one of the biggest levers that you have. I always tell people, whole food comes first. My favorite protein sources are eggs with the yolk, grass-fed beef, especially ground beef, lamb, organic chicken, small fatty fish that's wild caught like salmon, sardines, and herring. That's always the goal. But life happens. Not everyone has time to cook high-protein rich meals 3 times a day. That's where a high-quality protein shake becomes incredibly valuable. Look, it takes less than 2 minutes to make. It costs less than $2 a serving. Your daily cup of coffee probably costs more than that, and it gives you over 20 grams of clean protein with just 1 scoop. And honestly, the chocolate flavor tastes like real chocolate. So I recommend going with the chocolate flavor. This one here is also a favorite of mine, the cookies and cream. So if you'd like to try the exact one that I use and recommend, Equip Foods is giving my community only, you right here on YouTube, an exclusive 20% off your order. Simply click the first link in the description box right below this video, or grab your phone, open up the camera app, and scan the QR code on the screen right now. The discount code is automatically applied. It's also backed by a 100% money back guarantee, so you could try it. If you don't like it, if you don't see the benefits, you get all your money back. So when you go to that special link, you're going to see this right here. They have almost 1,000 5-star reviews. It's the Equip Prime Protein. They have different flavors here. I would recommend chocolate, but it is the best tasting one. So I'm going to put chocolate. I'm going to add try once put to the cart. And then the coupon code is automatically applied. And while you're there, I would definitely consider adding the collagen. If you scroll down here to grass-fed collagen, I actually love their vanilla. I put it in my coffee. I'm going to add that to my order. My code is also applied to that as well. And the reason why I recommend it and the reason why I use it is because protein helps to build the muscle. Collagen helps to support the structure that holds the muscle together. Your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, your connective tissue. And after 40, like me, I'm about to turn 42 soon. That's often what starts slowing people down. They experience stiffness and aches, slower recovery. So protein helps you perform. Collagen helps you keep performing. Together, they make a great combination. And remember what we talked about earlier with the heart and the collagen structure. That's very important. So click the first link in the description box below, or scan the QR code on the screen to take advantage of this special offer. Now, let's talk about how to make this workout sustainable for the next 12 weeks, because that's where the real transformation happens. Here's my problem with how this research gets shared online. Somebody hears 4x4, 90% max heart rate, and they've been sitting for the last 11 years, and on Monday, they try to go all out on that 4x4 minute interval. They get about 90 seconds into round 1. They get tunnel vision. They feel like they're going to be sick. They might throw up, and then they quit. And then they have this story they have now made up about this not working for me. Even the researchers were explicit about this. In the 2-year study, the training was progressive. They didn't start people at the full 4x4 method. They built it up over months. So here's the easier version. This is the on-ramp that I'd give to anybody starting at 0. Week 1 through 4. The next 28 days, you're going to build the base. 3 sessions a week. 20 to 30 minutes of easy cardio where you could still hold the conversation. Walking counts here. That's it. You're building the foundation your heart needs to adapt to. Don't skip this if you're a beginner. Weeks 5 through 8, we meet the intervals. Twice a week. Do 1 minute on, 1 minute off. 10 rounds. That's 20 minutes total. During the on minute, don't go all out, but do go harder than you're used to. You should be breathing hard, but maybe you could still squeeze out a sentence. That's fine. That's the whole point of this phase. Then we have weeks 9 through 12. Stretch the interval twice a week. Go 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off for 4 rounds. Now you're learning the real skill, holding a hard effort instead of exploding into it and dying. Week 13 and beyond, the real thing. Once or twice a week, do the entire 4x4 method. 4 minutes hard work, 4 minutes easy, 4 rounds. The other day is easy movements and some strength work. That's 12 weeks to earn a workout that most people try to do on day 1 and abandon on day 2. And if you're the type of person, and I used to work with a lot of these people as a personal trainer in Miami for 10 plus snorts years, if you're one of the people that say, just give me the minimum, absolute minimum that I can do to get benefits, then it's this 1 session a week of 1 minute on and 1 minute off is a real dose. But it's not the gold standard. It's definitely better than doing nothing, and hopefully it'll get you some momentum. So that's your homework. Start small on purpose. If you're already physically active and doing high intensity exercise and strength training, you might get away with starting with the full protocol right away. And if this changed the way you look at your heart health and your workout routine, share this with somebody you know. You might change their life. Hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you listen to podcasts, I have a brand new podcast called The Benazzi Show, where 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, we have brand new episodes with world leaders all across the world, researchers, doctors, scientists that talk about metabolic health, anti-aging breakthroughs, mindset tips, and so much more. And you will not find these episodes here on YouTube. You could only find them on Apple Podcast and Spotify. So hit the second link in the description box below for the Benazzi Show on Apple Podcast, or the link below it for Spotify, and I'll see you on the Benazzi Show. And part of what we spoke about today was the importance of insulin sensitivity. I recently did some research and something blew me away. 400 milligrams of a certain nutrient reduced risk of insulin resistance by 71%. I just published a video all about this. Here's a clip from that video. Then click the video on the screen coming up in a few seconds, and I'll see you in that next video. And it didn't work. It actually made things worse. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that I didn't have a weight problem. Music. I wasn't lazy. I had a signaling problem. Specifically, my cells stopped responding to insulin, and no amount of calorie counting or willpower or discipline was going to fix that. Music. So what changed everything for me? I dropped 80 kilograms of fat.